Hello everyone and welcome back to my 8th edition 2 weeks attemptive coverage. Today we're going to be talking about the Imperial Guard or the Astra Milatarum, depending on what you prefer to call them. I'm old school, it's Imperial Guard for me. And we're just going to be mainly talking about the changes. Bear in mind I've only had the book in my hands for, well, less than 24 hours, so I'm just going to be talking about the changes that jump out at me, what I think will be good, because obviously I've not had a chance to try it out yet. I'm just basically going to go through the list and talk about things. But the first thing that jumps out and screams at me is that they have split the old Imperial Guard / Astra Milatarum into their specific sort of callings. So now Astra Milatarum is specifically the Imperial Guard, the foot soldiers, the sloggers, the military men. Then you have the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, which is your psychers and stuff like that. Then the Commissars are split into their own thing. They're not full armies. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not saying that Commissars are now an army. It's they're separated, and you take them as an attachment to your list instead of it being as part of the main list. It's now an attachment. So Commissars was split off. The Imperial Navy was split off. So like the Master of the Fleet and the ships are now their own separate thing. And this doesn't change how the army plays. Of course, Imperial Guard are still often going to have Vendettas and Valkyries in it, but it just changes the way a few things work because of the wording. Because if they were part of the basic Astra Militarum, you could say give them the Kadia keyword, which would break a few rules and which would cause a few things to work not as intended. By doing this, they can have the Master of the Fleet, that specifically his abilities only help the Vendettas, Valkyries, that type of thing, whereas it would affect the whole army if he was part of, say, Kadia. So it's like a nice wee change. It's not going to change like your army loadout and rosters and what's actually in the army. It's just more sort of thematic. It lets them write rules that are a wee bit easier to understand and not as easy to abuse. So I do quite like that change, and that is the first thing that jumps out at you. Yes. And today we're mainly going to be talking about the main Astra Militarum. We'll probably talk about we'll definitely talk about the Navy, because they're basically Astra Militarum, or Imperial Guard, and we'll talk about the Commissars. We'll probably leave it with the Psychers, because they're they're later on in the book. And I don't have a lot of experience in using them because I never did that much. But yes, Voices of Command. That is changed quite a bit. Now, with your orders, you issue them out at the beginning of the shooting phase. Any unit with the Voice of Command rule can give out one order to one unit. You no longer need to roll, it just auto passes, but you need to be within 3 inches of the unit, or within 3 units of a guy, a member, a little unit, so an Imperial Guardsman with a Voxcaster. If you're within 3 inches of that Voxcaster, you can then issue the order to another Voxcaster within 18 inches of it. At least I think it's of it, or is it just increased the range to 18? I don't know, I'll need to check the Voxcaster rules. But yes, you've got your take aims back. First rank fire, second rank fire is still back. I really loved first rank fire. Second rank fire, I always really loved it on big huge guardsman blobs, but because guardsman blobs might, I can't see an option to make them yet. It's kind of, they might have nerfed it a wee bit. Not nerfed the actual ability, but nerfed what you're going to be using it on. Bring it down. this back. Forward for the Emperor. All units in phase advance. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an old one. I don't remember using it often. Get back in the fight. That was definitely an old one. I really loved that one. That was really good back in the day because you'd go to ground, use that, and then you wouldn't suffer the penalties. Move. That's back. Fix bayonets. Okay. That's quite good too. Fixed bayonets would be real good. If you had some units that were good in close combat, that would be really good. Yeah, they're all very good rules. They all have distinctive things you want to do with them. Like fixed bayonets lets you get extra attacks in because you're going to be fighting extra times. Well, because you get to fight now instead of in the fight phase and in the fight phase. Move. Gets you moving faster. Get back in the fight, obviously. It's quite good for if you fall back. I can see me using get back in the fight quite often now because when you pull a unit back, you can't shoot into combat unless it's got the fly special rule. With get back in the fight, that will no longer be a big problem for the Imperial Guard. So you can send up one little guardsman unit to absorb the charge, and as everyone else sort of moves back and fires, and then get back in the fight, will even let that unit fire. Seems quite strong. Forward for the Emperor. Can shoot even if it advanced. Bring it down. Reroll wound rolls of 1. First rank fire, second rank fire. Doubles the firepower of las guns. Take aim. Reroll 1. Order to the unit interface. Reroll hits of 1. Yeah, I was reading that right the first time. So commands, lovely. Really add a lot of flavour to the guards and just gives them a wee bit of a unique feel for their guardsmen blobs. But the company commander, let's talk about the company commander next. This guy used to always be in a unit. You didn't buy him, you bought the unit, and he came with it. But now he has been separated with the new way his character works, characters not being able to be in units. He's no longer in a unit. You can still take the unit he was in, but he doesn't link up with it. You can move around with it and everything, but he's not technically part of it. He's our basic company commander of old. He's got a weapon skill, ballistic skill of 3+, which is quite good for guardsmen. Maybe would have liked seeing the 2+, but he's still just a guardsman, so that might have been a wee bit too much. Always getting a 5+ invulnerable save is quite good because he's just always got that reactor field. Yeah, it's not in his war gear options. He just always has it. And he's a senior officer, so he gets to issue 2 commands. I see this company commander leading my armies almost all the time. He's a good, solid choice, issuing orders, which is what we were talking about earlier on, which is how Imperial Guardsmen really take units that are like average damage and then punch it up to 11 on their damage output. It's just like issuing orders. This really gives the Guardsmen, not even just with their damage, their whole abilities to do stuff. Like go to ground and getting back up without shooting in the old edition, or being in combat, pulling back and still being able to shoot in this edition. It's 2 very good uses of orders, and it's just utility. Gives the army extra utility it wouldn't normally have. There we go. As well as it's increasing its damage output with the rerolls and first doubling firepower of las guns, that sort of thing. Right, tank commanders. Basically, the company commander we just talked about, but inside a tank. He doesn't issue orders to infantry though, he can only issue orders to tanks because that's his area of expertise. And he's got free orders, full throttle, gunner's kill on sight, and strike and shroud. Full throttle, increase the shooting of the model. Melee moves as if we're moving phase, and it must advance as part. I cannot declare charge in this turn. Instead of shooting, he gets to move again and can advance. So the tank can move in its movement phase, then you issue this order on it, then it moves again in the shooting phase, and then it advances. This is quite good. Gunner's kill on sight. Reroll hit rolls of 1. for the ordered model until the end of the phase. So, reroll 1s and shooting. Strike and Shroud. Model that is used, launchers in the battle. This order can only be used in models that have not used its smoke launchers. The ordered model can shoot its weapons and use its smoke launchers at the same time. So, self-explanatory. Strike and Shroud. Smoke launcher plus firing real weapons. Right. Master of Ordnance. He's pretty much the same as he was before, except again, you don't attach him to the command squad. Just like how the way the regimental advisors worked in the last edition was they were upgrades you'd take to your command squad, which is where the company commander would be. He'd be in the command squad. It'd be a squad of 5, which would be him, and then 4 veterans, and then you could upgrade them. And then the way regimental advisors were, they were upgrades that would add a new model to the unit. So taking the Master of Ordnance would put it up to 6 models in the unit, and taking the Astropath would put it up to 7 models in the unit because you've taken the Master of Ordnance already, and so on and so on. They're just like the company commander. They're their own, can go around, do their own things, which is really quite good because this guy works really well with artillery, which is where you'd expect your Master of Ordnance to be. You'd expect them to be hanging around with the artillery and not hanging around with the company commander. Because if you've got all your leaders in one place and yeah, the Master of Ordnance, what the hell, what good is he going to do standing beside the company commander? You could advise him saying, well, maybe you should place your artillery there, but that's about it. He should be with the artillery. At least in my opinion. I don't know. What do I know about military, so maybe he should be with the commander. He is pretty much just like he was in the last edition. Obviously, with the changes to blast markers, his artillery barrage is now D6 instead of a large blast. And his strength 8, D3 damage is basically just a basilisk shot, just like before. And once per game he gets to call that down. Then he's also got a buff for any of his own regiments. So if he's Kadean and there's also Katachan forces on the field, he cannot do this to the Katachan basilisks, for example. But if you are Kadean and your allied friend is also Kadean, you can use this guy to buff his artillery as well. Because it just says of friendly regiment. So friendly, as long as it's allied, he can cast on it as long as it's the same regiment as him. And they get this buff if they're within 3 inches of him. And what does it actually do? Yeah, reroll 1s. That's what they can do. For enemies that are over 36 inches away. So you've got your artillery right at the back. You're firing all the way over the other side of the field, which is what artillery is designed to do. And you get to reroll 1s as long as this guy's within 3 of your models. So if you're planning to go heavy artillery, this guy will be quite good. His barrage is also quite good. He's only a power of 2, so it might not be a bad idea. The points are in a different location now, so how many points is he? Dentus Mechanicus points, where's the Astra Milatarum weapons, where's his Astra Milatarum points value? Master of Ordnance, where is he? Master of Ordnance. He has 38 points. I wouldn't say he's worth it for the one-shot barrage. Even at 2 power and 38 points, the one-shot artillery barrage is not... that's expensive. You're really going to only want to take him if you're taking lots of artillery. And just to try and get those reroll 1s, that's mainly what you're paying for. Then the 1s... you really need both abilities to make him worthwhile. The platoon commander, which is we're going on to now, he is basically the baby version of your company commander. He is HQ choice. So oh no, we're into elites. The tank commander and the company commander are both HQ. The Master of Ordnance and the platoon commander are both elites. So this guy's moved up in the field because he was classed as troops before. Because what the platoon commander was in the last edition of the game and in the last codex was he was the troop choice leader. You could Imperial Guard, you could take a force organization chart inside a force organization chart. For one of your troop choices, you could take a platoon. And to make up that platoon, you needed a platoon command squad, which, just like the company command and the company commander, was one unit but has now been split into two in the exact same way. And that he was basically the HQ of this troop choice. And then you had to take two infantry squads in the platoon. Then you could take a heavy weapon squad as part of that platoon, and you could take, I think it was up to 6 infantry squads. Then you could take 0 to 3 heavy weapons, 0 to 3 special weapon squads, and was it 1 conscript? Up to 1 conscripts, I think it was. And this was all one troop choice. The Imperial Guard could have about 100 models, all as one troop choice. With this guy, this platoon commander, and this platoon command squad was basically the HQ of this troop choice. So yeah, but now he's an elite. He is the baby version of the company commander. He is 2 power, and he gets to issue 1 order per turn. He also gets the 5+ invulnerable save, and his stats are the same. He just loses out on 1 wound. So this guy is very good. He is very good. He's the company commander's 3 power. The platoon commander is 2. So all you're doing is losing 1 order a turn and losing 1 wound a turn. The order is a big deal, but the wound is not so much. I suppose a D3 weapon, damage weapon, would be impossible to kill, 1-hit KO the company commander. And it would be able to 1-hit KO if it's lucky the platoon commander. But yeah, that's not bad. I used to always run, in most of my games, 1 platoon, 1... I used to normally take 1 platoon and blob it together a lot of the time, especially in competitive. Which I'm going to miss that now because that doesn't appear to be a thing. Right, moving on to the command squad. Yeah, I don't... See, this is one of the things that make me sad about them splitting the commander away from the command squad. Is... I don't feel the desire to have a command squad, because even if it's just going to go around nursing them, why not just do that with a veteran squad? Or why not just do it with a basic infantry squad? As long as the unit has a Vox in it and he stays 3 inches away from the Vox, it doesn't need to be a command squad for him to issue orders. It just needs to be any Vox. They still do get quite a lot of options, and like Medipack, Regimental Standard. Oh yeah, what does the Regimental Standard do? That might make it worthwhile. All friendly regiments, so i.e. Kadia, if it's a Kadian command squad, it can only affect Kadians, but also can affect allied Kadians, so something to think about. Units of 1, 1, or 2 of their leadership. Add 1 to their leadership when they were within 6 of any veteran regiment standard. Wait, what? Regimental standard. All friendly, we'll just say Kadia here, just to pretend everyone's Kadia. All friendly Kadia units, I'll add 1 to their leadership whilst they're within 6 of any Kadia veteran with a regimental standard. Ah, okay, there we go. I was misreading it there. I thought it only worked for veterans, but it's just, I don't know why they added the veteran there, it just confused me. But yeah, add 1 to their leadership, so if you're leadership 6 on this command squad, they'll be leadership 7. So when you're rolling to take losses, you're going to lose 1 less guy, really. It's quite good. 1 better leadership can be quite good and it can change the game. So I suppose a company command squad would be quite good. Did you get platoon command squads? I haven't seen any. No, I take it, yeah. I suppose what would be the difference? So now that I think about it, what would be the difference between a company command and a platoon command? Because the difference before was only the platoon commander and the company commander. There is no difference now, so... Right. Infantry squads... Nothing really to talk about that's hugely new. They get their Vox, they get to replace 2 guardsmen with a heavy weapon. and they get to take a special weapon. Nothing really to talk about here. Special weapon squads, nothing really to talk about. Heavy weapon squads, nothing really to talk about. It's exactly what you'd expect. Veterans, at first I was like, ugh, when I seen the power, because they're double the infantry squad's power. But then I remembered in power you get upgrades free, and this unit basically gets lots of weapon upgrades. Because you can take up to 3 other veterans, can replace their las guns with special weapons. Veteran sergeant may blah blah, veteran sergeant may blah blah. One veteran may replace their las gun with a heavy flamer. 2 veterans may form a heavy weapon team. So you can have 1 with a heavy flamer, 2 guardsmen becoming a heavy weapon team, and then 3 others becoming plasma guns, let's just say. So that's 5 out of half the squad is now geared up with special firepower weapons, so I suppose that makes the power. But you've kind of always got to max out. When I ran my veterans before, I didn't like to just sort of throw weapons at them. I normally only took 1 special weapon still, because I didn't like to put that many points into such a squishy unit. That's power here. Conscripts, basically what you'd expect. You can take tons and tons of them. They are very cheap. I might actually start feeling, because this is where first rank fire is going to be very important for them now. Because now, with conscripts, it's your only way to get your huge guardsman blob pumping out tons of shots. In the old edition, what I used to like to do, as I talked about earlier, is I'd take a platoon, take like 5 infantry squads, blob it all together, and put my heavy weapons, just like every infantry squad takes a heavy weapon, and so then you'd have like 5 autocannons. Daka 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 daka. And it's protected by about 50 wounds before they can actually get to your autocannons, which was really, really powerful, and it was really good. It's quite a nice unit. It'd take up half the damn field with it spacing out to try and keep blast weapons from killing them all. Stick it in some cover, and then you'd go to ground when anything scary was shooting at it. Use the order to stand back up without the snapfire penalties. The 5 autocannons or las cannons, whatever you took, would blaze away like mad. Your opponent would get some Terminators close and go, heh, you see your big unit? I'm going to tie up this whole game and just chew my way through it with my Terminators. And I'd go, that's what you think. First rank fire, second rank fire. There's about 40 guardsmen rapid firing, doubling their volume of shots. So that's, what, 40? Add 40, another 40 for rapid fire, which is 80, then double it, 160 from first rank fire, second rank fire, 160 lasgun shots. Yeah. First rank fire and that second rank fire in that situation was incredibly powerful. And even Terminators would start to evaporate from lasguns, which people always underestimate because they were like, oh, it's just lasguns. Those guys are nothing but extra wounds for the autocannons or the las cannons or whatever it was I took in the guardsman blob. Which, because you can't platoon up now, you can't do that. But conscripts, now they are going to be ballistic skill 5+ instead of 4+. So that is a huge, huge hurting. Because when you're taking 160 shots, that's gone from half of them hitting, which is the 80 hits on average, to, I'm not even going to work it out, it's too early in the morning, but that is a substantial number of shots that on average will be lost. But I suppose the guardsmen, the conscripts, are a lot cheaper. It's only 3 power for 20. And then you can take an additional 30 for 3 power, so that's quite good. You can get, for 6 power, you can get 50 conscripts. So if you've got 50 conscripts, that's not bad. So I suppose that way, you think about it, they're cheaper. The autocannons, well, even there is no autocannons now, but they're not going to have to fire at the same target which they did in the last edition. So yeah, I think it would still be quite fun to roll around with like a 50 blob of conscripts. Just watch people ignore it because they don't care about it. Then first rank fire, second rank fire. Oh wait. Oh, there's a huge loophole in that plan. You'd need to keep a platoon commander nearby them, which then people will realise and know what you're up to. Unless you, in the movement phase, get them close, all of a sudden out of nowhere, just like have them change direction and jump over to the conscript squad. Because conscripts can't take a Vox. So you'll need a platoon or company commander within 3 inches of the unit. I suppose you could be gamey, and because there's 50 models, daisy chain them a wee bit in the last turn as well. So yeah, you could. It's doable, especially with the 50 unit. Size of 50. Yeah, I've got to try that at some point though. 50 guardsmen, or conscripts, hitting on 5s. First rank fire, second rank fire, rapid fire. 4 shots each, that's 200 shots. Oh, brilliant. Rough Riders. I never used Rough Riders before, so I don't really feel much desire to talk about them. I know a lot of people are mad for Rough Riders, but that's just, it was never my thing. Never my thing. Scout Sentinels. 2 power each, they seem quite interesting. I'm really looking forward to taking Sentinels now, actually, because I've always loved the Sentinel model. Always loved it. But before, when they were armor value 10, it was like, ugh. Even like bolters would quickly like destroy them, and it wasn't that great. But now they're 6 wounds, and they're not as easy to pop. Like an autocannon isn't just going to make it explode. You're actually going to get some use out of it. It's a 6 wound with toughness 5, so it's obviously not the strongest thing in the world, but they're only 2 power. I just love the models. I can't wait to try them out and see how valid they are this edition, because even though they're still not that durable, they're going to be a hell of a lot more durable than the last game, where just one little autocannon round blows it up, and then it blows up, so it blows up its buddies, and yeah, Sentinels. And even better, armoured Sentinels. They have the same toughness and the same wounds. Yep, both of 5. So what does the actual armoured option do? I think it just lets them take heavier weapons. I'm going to need to look into that. What is the benefit from taking armoured Sentinels? I think it is just they can take heavier weapons. I'd have liked to have seen their toughness go up by 1, from 5 to 6. But yeah, they're free power, but that's mainly because you're paying for the better weapon, but that's the only difference. Hopefully they change that a wee bit when the Astra Milatarum get their full decks. I was super excited to see the Sentinel Chainsaw return as well, but then I looked at it and it's basically just AP. That's all it does, is gives the Sentinel 1 AP. So it's just, I was a wee bit like, huh? So taking the Sentinel Chainsaw just gives you 1 AP? Negative 1 AP? It just feels like nothing. Because you're not wanting your Sentinels to get into close combat. So it feels like a wasted upgrade. Of course, you're always going to take them in power level, the Sentinel Chainsaw. But points, I don't see it ever getting used, because it feels like a waste of points to chuck on a Sentinel Chainsaw. Because if your Sentinels are in close combat, its damage is already done. Now, I didn't want them to be close combat beasts or anything, I just wanted it to be a wee bit stronger than that. It doesn't even increase. What I would have expected was to increase its strength by 1 and give it an extra attack. Because a Sentinel without a chainsaw has the exact same damage output, it's just slightly easier for the model to save. So you'd expect the one with a chainsaw to be dealing more damage, being able to dish it out, instead of the one just trying to kick. The one with a chainsaw, you'd expect it to be trying to kick and saw, and it just gives it so many more options. Right, Chimeras. Toughness 7, 10 wounds. Seems pretty durable. Quite a good little light tank here, transporting 12 models. Yeah, seems like a good solid infantry transport with good good weapons. The lasguns arrays. Yeah. It's a wee bit weird that the lasgun array only gets 3 shots unless you count the 7.2. Does it count the 7.2 lasgun arrays? And 2 lasgun arrays. Ah, okay, it does have 2 lasgun arrays. Whereas before it only counted as having the 1 lasgun array, I think. But it just had all 6 lasguns. Yeah, quite good. Taurox, never been keen on them. Hellhounds. A model I've never actually used. I've always wanted to use a few. I really quite like the sound of them. But yeah, toughness 7, 11 wounds, so it's got a wound up on the Chimera. Seems a nice little light tank, good for flanking, that sort of thing. Basilisks, what more can you say? The heavy artillery, pound the enemy from afar. Really good, but for what it does. AP -2, strength 9, D3. Yeah, so it is slightly, the artillery barrage from the ordnance is slightly weaker. It's basically just a weaker. It's just losing its strength though, I think. So yeah, Earthshakers are really good, Basilisks quite good. You want to keep them away from the enemy, though they are toughness 6, 11 wounds, so they're not that squishy. They do have quite a lot of wounds to have to chew through. You're going to need several really good hits with las cannons to take one down, or something else dedicated anti-vehicle. Hydras, what more can you say? Good anti-air, not much has changed. That's the general feeling I'm getting with a lot of 8th edition. Stuff has been slightly rebalanced, points and power level, blah de blah, balanced. But everything does what it done before, basically, with only some changes like the company commander outside the unit, that sort of thing. So, again, Hydras. Wyverns, does what it says in the tin. 6 toughness, 11 wounds, quite durable again. Manticores, Death Strikes. Layman Russ, really powerful tanks, just like they were in the last edition. Really powerful. You can kit them up and specialise them to no end. What was it? Take a Layman Russ. One of my favourite anti-infantry ways of doing it is Layman Russ Executioner with the Executioner autocannons, 3 heavy bolters. Just never move it, just pivot it. Well, in the old edition, you just pivot it to aim at its targets and then unleash hell. That thing was even half decent against flyers in the old edition when you were hitting on 6s, because you were chucking out, like, what? 3 per bolter, 4 for the Executioner autocannon, so that's 9. 13 shots, so on average you'd hit twice, so that thing was even pretty good at hitting flyers and dealing some damage. The basic Layman Russ is still very powerful. Battle Cannon, Strength 8, AP -2, D3 damage, Heavy D6. It's kind of like a good all-round weapon, like it was back in the old days. It was the ultimate Marine killer back in 7th edition. I mean, like Marine armies, I'd hate to see just the Layman Russ with Battle Cannon on the other side. You'd have to space out your units, go to ground, and just... yeah, you need to nuke that fast if you were playing a lot of infantry with the Space Marines back in the day. Which is not as bad now, because it's only AP -2. Baneblades look astounding. They've just got so many guns. So much DACA. Yes. That is us through the infantry and all the Astra Milatarum part. Then it goes on after the special characters to talk about common SARs, which are quite good. The summary execution is quite good. You'll never lose more than 1 model from failed morale tests. So say you lost 5 models that turn from a lot of DACA from something. and you then rolled a 6. And I think your leadership's 6 on your infantry, or maybe 5. I need to go back and check. I'm quite way past the infantry now. And we'll just say 5. And you rolled a 6, so that takes you to 11. That unit would just be gone, because you'd lose 6 models. Not with this guy, you're only going to lose 1. So that's quite good if you're playing a lot of infantry, just have CORSAIR in the middle. Brilliant, does what he says in the tin, just like the old days. Militarum Tempestus, just like the old days as well. You get your Prime, which no longer comes in the unit, just like the command squad and all that. And then you get your command squad for them. They're basically just the same as what they were before. The Kurskins, what they originally were, then they went to the... They replaced Kurskins with... What were they called again? I can't remember. But they were like the veterans wearing the 4+ armor when they got rid of the Kurskins. Then you're obviously, then they've been replaced by Militarum Tempestus. They get the Taurox Prime. The Taurox Prime is only part of them, you can't take that as for basic guardsmen anymore. Yep, then it goes on to your auxiliary. Ogurns, Bulgurns, Rattlings, not Deadok, basically what you expect. Everything's what you expect. Officer of the Fleet. This is where we're talking about him. He is in the Aeronautica Imperialis now, not considered part of the basic guardsmen. Because his abilities have been changed, because units no longer because units now auto come in instead of roll in, he is now more support for those air units when they come in. He gets a special air raid ability once per battle. In your shooting phase, you can pick an enemy unit other than a character, and then your units, which is visible anywhere in the battlefield, and then roll a d6. On a roll 1 to 3, nothing happens. On a roll 4 or 5, the unit takes d3 mortal wounds. So yeah, basically it's a chance to take d3 mortal wounds. He calls in an air raid, just drops a few bombs on that unit, and there's a chance to take d3 mortal wounds, and on a 6 they take 3 mortal wounds. So it's not really nice, but it's like a little bit of gravy for the meat, and the meat for him is the buffs he gives to the flyers. At the start of the shooting phase, pick an enemy unit other than a unit which is fly, because this is strafing coordinates he gives them, and they get to reroll 1s. Any flying units you bring from the Aeronautica Imperialis get to reroll 1s when shooting at that ground target he's designated. Lovely stuff. Then you get your Valkyrie, and oh, I don't see Vendetta. Has Vendetta been taken out? There's just Valkyrie now. Okay, I take it Vendetta's been rolled into Valkyrie. So there's basically, from the Aeronautica Imperialis, there's only 2 units, Officer of the Fleet and the Valkyrie. Yeah, because after that it goes on to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Oh, the Valkyrie, 14 wounds, toughness 7. So for a flying vehicle it is very hardy, but I suppose it kind of needs to be now, because flyers aren't as impervious to damage as they were before. So yeah, I'm really quite excited to try it. I've got a Valkyrie sitting in my case for there. I really can't wait to try it out and just see the differences to flyers and try and learn the differences to flyers. And that's just my quick overview of the changes and all that jumps out. I did think of one change I want to go back to though. Actually no, we're not going to go back and talk to that. We're going to talk to that about that in my final review when I talk about points, V's, power level. So, that's just my quick, well, I say quick, we've been talking now for how long? Coming up 40 minutes. Oof. That's just my quick, what jumps out at me from the Astra Milatarum or Imperial Guards. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Join me on next time. I'm hoping to get something interesting like a battle report for tomorrow's video. I'm not sure what I can manage. I was really struggling to figure out what I was wanting to do today, so I thought, right, let's just open up the army book and talk about one of the armies I know a wee bit and talk about their major changes. So yes, see you all next time. Bye-bye.